France is a beautiful and diverse country with everything from mountains to beaches, wine to fantastic food. To the average American, it's a fairly mysterious and sexy place, even if it's overflowing with stereotypes along the way as well. And it may not be for everybody, but if you're watching this, I'm guessing that it might be on your mind to move to France someday. And as somebody who's lived here for a good decade of his life over the course of 3 different times and 8 years plus running on this time right now, long enough to get my French citizenship and establish Paris in particular as my home, I thought I would share with you some of the things that I struggled with when I first came here, things that I really didn't like that much, and that I've really come to love at the same time. France is a very difficult place to live for a lot of people. Paris in particular is very hard. So also today, just to be clear, roughly 90% of my experience living in France has been in Paris. And Paris, as we know, is not the rest of France. So I'll share my experience with France as a country as I go, but I'm also going to try and be very clear about what's Parisian specific at the same time, because I don't want to conflate things too much. Whether or not you should move to a new country is entirely up to you. And you are the only person that knows the answer. You're the only one that knows whether or not you're going to make it in a new place. You believe in you, go for it. If you want to move here or don't, I'm just here to tell you my experience, but you know whether or not you should. I've broken these up into 5 cultural categories as we try to keep track of things, and I could talk about all of this for hours. You've seen the length of the video. You know that's not the case. Let's get into it with low trust culture. France, the French culture, is a low trust culture. It's a fancy term to say that France is built on close-knit, tight communities that don't trust outsiders quickly or easily. The first downside is that it's very hard to make friends when you first move to France. And I know that's true across the board, not just in Paris, but I've lived in Nice, which is also actually a very cold culture despite being so warm. And while people in the rest of France are much friendlier than your average Parisian, much more curious and open and interested in outsiders, that doesn't mean that they're going to be friendly with you very quickly. What I have found in making friends in France is that it takes you a good 6 months of invested effort to open doors before things really start to open up. And what's really cool is after that investment, consistency, showing up, demonstrating, hey, I'm here, I'm staying, I want to be close to you. The French really do open up, and the friendships you can make can last a lifetime. They're amazing. The French are amazing, and even Parisians who have a reputation for being very rude. This also has an impact on mingling and dating. When you go to bars, when you go out, often people go out in groups, like with their friends, and the way that bars in particular are set up, you're going to sit down around a table, you're going to hang out with your crew, go get drinks, come back. It's really hard to mingle. It's not a mingling culture. It's not a small talk, chatty culture. It's actually a very formality first culture, which for Americans in particular is very hard because we try to warm things up by being friendly and greet people, joke around a little bit. The French don't really do that. The first thing you always say when you walk into anywhere almost basically is bonjour. You always start with bonjour and you start very formally. You go through a little bit of a ritual, and that helps to show respect. And once you've shown respect, then the warmth and the niceties come after that. It's really important if you're just visiting to know that. But if you live here, it's something you just have to get into the ritual and understand those formalities. The benefits of this, of course, are that formality serves as a guide. It can be really helpful just to know if I follow the rules here, I'm going to get through a situation, whether or not I fully understand what's going on. And with things like dating, it actually lowers the pressure somewhat because the French don't put as much pressure on it, which can blow your mind if you come here. I can make an entire video about the differences between dating between France and the US, but one of the things that'll blow your mind is meeting the parents of somebody you're dating 3 weeks into dating them. There are a lot of things that happen here that everybody just kind of takes a little bit easier on that front too. So that can be nice. The second culture, and you might not expect this, is Laggard culture. France, technologically in particular, but with a lot of things, are on the adoption curve, laggards. They wait to see if it's going to work elsewhere before they adopt it themselves. This actually has a huge impact on a lot of things when it comes to the work section of this video, but just in general, average living, it can be kind of challenging because there are a lot of services that aren't online. There's a lot of missing technology, it feels like, or a lot of things that you're like, I've seen this work elsewhere, why is this not working here? We also joke around a lot about French tech, websites, all kinds of things just don't seem to work the way that you would like them to. This also means that food culture, we're going to talk about food here in a minute too, but fun, new, exciting things that Anglophones are all about novelty, at least Americans, and I feel like the Brits are like this too. We love to try new things, new fusions, new flavors. The French, they'll try that a little bit later. And it also means that English adoption has been very slow in coming. So if you're moving here, I always said that you need to learn French When moving here, when visiting, it's okay. You're probably going to be fine without it. Honestly, English is so much more available, especially in a city like Paris. If you leave Paris, it's going to get trickier. But even here, when you're doing official business, if you're setting up a business, when you're doing so many things, French is actually still a basic requirement if you would like to live a lower stress life. But I do know a lot of people that move here that never learn French and seem to do just fine. So English adoption, it's been lagging. It's definitely not as good as a lot of other places in Europe, but the French are catching on and things have changed a lot. Since I first moved here in 2007 especially, it's a world of difference. There's a whole other conversation to have there. But definitely if you're moving here, don't expect people to just pick up English and run with you. The benefit to the laggard side of things, one, on the food side, quality remains paramount. There's not a lot of rushing going on there. They very much respect and crave quality food, which we'll talk a little bit more about here in a second. Things also move very slowly, which can be very frustrating if you want to get things done quickly or if you need to get things done quickly, but can be very, very nice on your stress levels to recognize, hey, I went to the bank and I sent a letter today. I've accomplished a lot. We'll get to lifestyle here in a minute too. And the other thing is long-term thinking. Even though maybe they're slow to adopt things, they do think very long-term. The Greater Paris project that is all the metro lines linking Paris right now was started under François Mitterrand, and they've stuck with it. And hopefully they finish it. This is huge for things like trains, infrastructure. They haven't allowed that to get sabotaged by billionaires who can remain unnamed that fake people out with like fancy future tech that they never actually deliver on. It also has protected industries like publishing, where the publishing industry in the States, and I think just in the Anglophone world in general, has been gutted by things like Amazon. And it's been much better protected here because they didn't adopt things like the Kindle right away and shift to self-publishing, which is something that I saw in person when I've met authors here that I remember trying to convince they should go the self-publishing route a decade ago, and I'm so glad they didn't. Like, they're protecting that industry in a way that we definitely did not. This leads us straight into work culture. So if you're gonna work in France, first of all, if you're American, good luck getting a visa. That's very tricky. I've made some other videos on visas before. We can touch on that again with some actual experts if that's something that interests you. But work culture here is very different, famously so. People joke about the French not having a solid work ethic, taking a smoke break right when they get to work, and then a coffee break right when they're done with their smoke break, and then going to an hour and a half lunch, having some wine, coming back for another smoke break, having coffee, going home, and maybe doing 15 minutes of work. That's an exaggeration. The French actually work very hard when they work. They just don't put work first. It's not their first priority. They don't live to work. They work to live. And boy, do they live. The work-to-life balance thing here is so much better. That brings us to the downside. Their salaries are way lower, for sure, but their security is way higher. So they have guaranteed vacation, like 5 weeks of paid vacation a year seems to be an absolute norm. Kids are always on vacation around here, so that changes the whole lifestyle thing. Every 6 weeks, there's 2 weeks of vacation from school, which is kind of wild. But even though they don't make as much money and taxes are, I mean, this is a conversation for like how you do tax law and what you count as taxes. They may feel high at first, but what you get for them, like no one's ever gonna go bankrupt here for medical bills. That's not a thing. This is one of the reasons I'm so glad I'm French. As things stand, I'm taken care of. Even if I get cancer, I'll be okay. There are trade-offs to that, obviously, as well between the systems, but like overall, I'd rather be here. And contract law is really strong and protects employees in a way that we don't have in the States. It can be abused. There are people that get a contract here and then basically just stop working. It can be very risky and expensive if you're an employer, which I am, dangerous to offer contracts to people. But if you're an employee, the whole system opens up to you. As soon as you have what's called a CDI, it's a permanent contract. You're basically married to that company. Life, so many things just get a lot simpler. So it's very, very valuable. The downside, of course, with work culture is that this is not a very small business friendly culture. It's very difficult to open your own business. It's very much set up for large employers and employees. So if you're a huge employer or you're bringing in, like France is the #1 destination for outside investment right now, international investment. They've been that for the last few years. When I was joking about French tech, there's some great stuff being done in the field here. Doctolib is an amazing thing. We could talk about that in lifestyle. But at the same time, administrative burdens, the tax burdens, the social charges, all of that for small businesses. I have yet to meet a small business owner in France that doesn't think it's incredibly difficult. It's hard to open a business no matter where you are. I don't want to lionize any other system, but it's incredibly cumbersome and very difficult to open a small business here. And I would also say that one of the things that I feel like I miss out on as a small business owner, not as much as a content creator, because I feel like people see that in a different light, but in the States, if you're an entrepreneur or a small business owner, there's a level of respect that's given to you because people understand the value of that or the difficulty in that. It's something that we admire. The French, not so much. You say you own a small business, it's almost like suspicious, like what, okay. So there are certain jobs, careers that have very, very high prestige in France, authors and philosophers and chefs. Like they love their chefs so much, and that's great. And it can be kind of a challenging shift if you don't fall into those to be like, well, I'm doing what I'm doing. The content creation side though offers other avenues, so I can't complain too much. That brings us to the lifestyle side of things. Like the downsides to the lifestyle here are probably things, not much, to be honest, not much. I love living here. If you move here, you might struggle with the late mornings. Everything starts late. Like you're not gonna find a coffee shop open at 6 in the morning. You know what I mean? You might find some workout classes that early, but I go to the gym by 7 at the latest, usually, most mornings. It's generally pretty empty, and nobody's working there. I have to badge in to get in. Moving anywhere can be an isolating experience, but I have found that because it takes so long to integrate into French society, it can feel really isolating. Again, if you don't speak French, that's another barrier. August, everything closes in Paris, at least in August, and then the vacation schedules around the country are offset a little bit, but you could just have periods of time where you have to get used to the fact that like I can't get food at 3 p.m. half the time, you know. That's changed here to some degree. Grocery stores are usually open on Sundays now, but don't be surprised in other parts of France if everything's closed on Sundays. And things are very family focused for a lot of French people, so you might just lose track of your friends for a little while as they like go spend time with their families or the friends they've had since childhood. But obviously, the lifestyle here is one of the main reasons I love living here. Paris in particular is gorgeous. It's amazing to walk around in. It's so easy to explore. The metro, buses, biking around the city is incredible. They've greenified it so much. Air pollution is significantly better than when I first moved here. Access to medical care is super easy. Doctolib is the app I referenced earlier. You literally just go on there, find a doctor, and book an appointment through an app for free, and it just works. It actually works very well. So I take back what I said about French tech, Doctolib, I love you. There are small luxuries that are so accessible, like with the food, we're gonna talk about food. Strawberries here are amazing, orange juice, everything, just so good. Wine is cheap. France is the microbrewing capital of Europe now. I'm skipping straight into food now. I guess we're gonna talk about food culture. I love eating here. There are drawbacks, but quality, simplicity, these are the things that the French do very well. What they don't do so well is strong flavors or spice. Like sometimes, I know I'm an American, I know I love salt, but sometimes I just want to get kicked in the face with a really strong flavor or eat something so spicy that I sweat for a good 15 minutes. That doesn't exist here. It's very hard to find. Most immigrant food gets watered down for the French palate. So there are a lot of Asian food, a lot of Mexican food, so many things that you eat here are close, but not quite, which is why I like going to London so much, because at least Londoners, I don't know about all the Brits, Londoners aren't scared of a little bit of spice, and man, we can get hot sauces here now. There are some really good French hot sauce companies, and this comes back to the Lagards thing. They're slow to pick things up, but when they pick them up, man, do they do them well. There's some great hot sauce companies here, great coffee companies here, great beer here now. When I first moved to France, coffee was terrible everywhere, and I mean, you can still get a lot of really bad coffee around town. There were maybe a dozen good coffee shops in Paris, and now there's hundreds. I cannot keep track of them all. It is a phenomenal problem to have. One of the things that might throw you when you first move here is the length of meals. Like, you're gonna end up having some very long meals with people, whether that's with families or with friends. Like, a 3 to 4 hour meal used to make me so uncomfortable. I could not handle it. It was very difficult for me to get through an entire, like, proper traditional French meal, like a good Sunday, like, event. And now I love it. Sitting, eating, drinking, talking. That's all you do at a French meal. There are orders to it, obviously with your courses. You need to learn how to cut the cheese. So many things, so many fun little cultural things. Don't be scared of it. I think that's one of the big things that I've learned about France. I think a lot of people are really worried because the French have this reputation for being snobs, reputation for being arrogant, and it makes people very defensive and very scared to engage with French culture. But my experience has been that the French are so excited to teach you about their culture. They might rib you a little bit along the way. They do have a better sense of humor than they get credit for a lot of the time, but they love it. And if you especially when you learn how to do it right, oh man, the praise you get for cutting the cheese correctly, hard to beat. Really, really great. Even though I struggle sometimes to find, there's no snacks in this country, for example, like the good snacks, as far as I'm like in my American brain, they don't really exist. They released French Cheetos recently. They are the worst thing I've ever eaten out of a bag. They're so horrible. But they will figure it out one of these days. I trust them to. And who needs snacks when you have a phenomenal cheese, bread, fruit, charcuterie? Like you just go to a grocery store, buy the cheap stuff, like cheap lunch meat kind of a thing, assemble a picnic, take it to a park, and for 5 to 10 euros, you have the best picnic you've ever had in your entire life. I'm so lucky to have come of age, really, in French culture because I already have very strong opinions and tastes and things that I love and I do miss, but France has refined it. And where France may not do strong flavors, novelty, new, like cutting edge, trendy food stuff so much, what they do is come in right behind all that and make it way better. And the quality, richness, there's tons of butter. You might struggle if you don't like butter. There's butter in everything. But honestly, just the quality of it, the lack of sugar in everything, food in France, just like, I love, it's amazing. It's amazing. Hopefully all of this has helped you to get an idea of some of the experiential differences, both negative and positive. For me personally, I'm very happy to be in Paris in particular, but I have so much of France to explore, so much of it that I love. Marseille is another really great big city right on the coast. If you want warmer, hotter weather and you love the Mediterranean, you've got that available to you. If you like colder, wetter weather, you want to be more northerly, you've got that as well. France has almost everything on offer. Like I said, mountains, beaches, beautiful countryside, and of course, some phenomenal cities. It's central. It's very easy to travel all the way across Europe. Our trains are really fast. Our airports are getting better. I feel like living in Paris personally has gotten so much better over the last decade. It has its problems. Both the city of Paris and the country of France have some huge challenges ahead, but where doesn't in the world right now? I mean, life is kind of insane everywhere, but I'm so grateful to be in Paris. There's no city on earth I would rather be, and that's just me. So whether or not it's for you, whether or not France is for you, maybe you'd be happier in Provence or somewhere, a small town somewhere, or Montpellier, or I don't know, the Basque Country is freaking amazing. There's a lot to love about this country, and you don't have to do Paris. You can do so much more. I think the main thing I would say, especially if you're thinking about moving to Paris at this point, would be if you can afford it. I mean, if you're thinking about moving here, hopefully you've figured out a way to do it on your own. But definitely come here and make sure you can do the winter. A lot of people come in spring, summer, fall, and they're like, wow, this place is magical, which is true. Winter sucks. Winter absolutely sucks. It's just dreary, gray. People leave. It's lonely. So my recommendation would be make sure you can actually survive the winters here, or you can afford to go to Thailand during the summer, during the winter, whatever it is. Try to come get a sense of the real here in Paris. Give it a try, and don't be afraid of the French. Don't be afraid to make friends. Don't be afraid to ask for help. At the same time, be aware a lot of people move to France thinking this is their dream and get out of here in 6 months to a year because they discover the realities of living here don't really line up. Editor's note, I've actually been working with some consultants, Trenier Consulting, phenomenal people, Americans that have lived here for 23 years, that have raised their kids here, open businesses, run the gamut. They've been very, very helpful with some decisions that I've been making in my business, and they're amazing. I'll leave a link to them below. If you're looking to move here, if you're looking to open a business here, if you're looking for help, they're a really great resource. Let them know I sent you. I forgot to put that in there. They've been phenomenal to work with. If you're interested in more, let me know in the comments below. I can do a deep dive on any one of those subjects. I'm going to do one on business here soon, the end of the 3-part series that I've been doing on how I make money basically in France. It's been a long journey from falling off a cliff before I moved here, starting my life over and getting to where I am today, and then talking about where I am, how I make my money, and the future of that. So the business challenges in France will be absolutely baked into that. If you enjoyed this, please make sure to subscribe. I need to make sure to ask people to subscribe. We're so close to 100,000 subscribers. I just want to cross that line before, the internet dies. So please do subscribe for that. And again, thank you so much for watching. Thanks to my patrons who make all of this possible. And I will see you again bright and early one of these mornings very soon with, who knows, life in France. I mean, let's be honest.